Feral Rush is important for the damage, but also for the slow. That slow give us even more damage thanks to proc, the 200 strength perk, adding 10% extra base damage versus slowed enemies. Also, try to add Berserker perk somewhere. It's good, and they will buff it next patch. Or at least that's what devs said. First of all, and something that I always say, stick to your role. We are glass cannon assassins. We ambush, delete the target, and get the fuck out. Then repeat. If the target didn't die, and you get aggro, get the fuck out. Are you in the front line? Get the fuck out. Beefy spear builds trying to fight you 1v1? Guess what? Get the fuck out. 1vx? You get the idea, right? Our role is delete the back lane, healers, and range. We don't even want to fight other /damage builds because we run 0% /protection. I mean, you could do it, but it's kind of trolling. That said, it's OPR, it's for memes, so whatever. Just remember that in those cases you need to have Berserk up, or we are just a free kill. But try and die. It helps to learn the limits of the builds. Another tip. As you can see here, I didn't pick up my Rapier to use Flesh, because Defy Death could save me anyway, and swapping Rapier could be too risky. In the previous clip, I kept my Hatchet out to get the last hit, proc Defy Death, and then swap to Rapier again to use Flesh. You need to think about when it's better to just hold the Hatchet or use your Rapier. Also, if Berserk is up, try not to swap to Rapier unnecessarily. Just keep running with Berserk. It's usually better. Another thing to consider is using Torrent just to get extra 20% haste. We use OPR cakes that give us 15% haste, plus 20% haste from Berserk, and another 20% from Torrent, so we have plenty of speed to run away. And for going offensive, Detonate gives us 30% haste plus 20% haste from Berserk, so we're at 50% haste, which is the cap. And Detonate plus Feral Rush makes people blow up. To make distance, always use evade backwards. This, it's intended, and is in the game since evade exists. You shouldn't hesitate to use throwing hatchets to finish off your kills. Don't make the same mistake I did in this clip. Speaking of the throwing hatchet, I like refreshing throws because it really helps reduce the cooldown of Berserk, letting us jump back into action with less downtime. In my opinion, people severely underrated the potential of Moonstone. Runeglass Moonstone provides a 17% extra damage boost compared to the 9% provided by Runeglass Opal. Moonstone's effect activates as soon as all skills are on cooldown. For example, when using Torrent, as soon as you activate the skill, it goes into cooldown. If Berserker is activated, indicated by gray icon, it is also considered to be on cooldown. So, if you have already used Feral Rush, all of Torrent's attacks will gain a 17% extra base damage, and subsequently all of your normal attacks as well. Similarly, if you have already used Torrent and Berserker is activated, the same applies to Feral Rush. As soon as you activate it, it goes into cooldown, allowing both hits to gain the extra damage. Using the Hatchet makes this even simpler. During combat, Berserker is either active or on cooldown, so as soon as you use a skill, the next one and all subsequent basic attacks will benefit from Moonstone. This also applies to bow, except for penetrating shot. Previously, it didn't work with Rain of Arrows either, but it does now since the last small patch. Why? That's a good question, my dear cousin. The answer is straightforward. Because of AGS and the fact that the alpha stage is not yet complete, so the combat code is still work in progress. So as long as you maintain a good skill rotation, all your skills and basic attacks can benefit from Moonstone's boost damage. You wouldn't need to expend stamina for just a 9% base damage increase. Is Moonstone useful in all builds? The answer is simple, no. It is extremely effective for some builds and kinda shit for others. However, you can review your own clips to determine how optimal it would be to use Moonstone compared to other gems in each build, but I use it in quite a few, even with my thrust bow build. I know, absolutely not a single person used that. Sounds stupid, but this 6K hit doesn't agree. However, don't take this idea and start using it in wars. I'm mostly testing, memeing, and trolling 99% of the time. I haven't been playing really seriously for about a year now, as I've decided to take a more relaxed approach to avoid burnout and continue enjoying the game. This is what a normal basic light attack chain looks like. It's 4 attacks. The first 3 do 100% damage, and the last one does 105% damage, but is a bit slower. So you want to avoid the last one, and there are 2 ways to do that. You can dodge after the 3rd light attack to reset it, or you can press the right click. Usually it's easier to cancel with the right click after the 2nd basic attack. The game has been full of these things forever. Some are intended, others not, but AGS hasn't been able to fix them and get things right after all these years. So people just accept most of these things as inevitable features. But there are a few interactions that might be unintended but aren't a big deal. So at this point, most people don't worry too much about them. I like to use tilt-based camera zoom because it lets you see more around you, which is useful. But I'll never use freeform movement until we actually have true free movement. Right now, activating freeform takes away the ability to dodge effectively, like dodging in a U-shape. For example, with freeform, you can't dodge directly to the back of someone or around something. It sucks, and I don't want to lose control of my character. About dodges, something that has been in the game forever, and people use all the time but without full control, is dodge canceling. When you dodge and then do a light attack, you cancel your dodge midway to attack again, and it's there to make combat more fluid. But you can use it to have more control of your dodges and distance. You can cancel it with light attacks or with throwing hatchets, right mouse button. And in some cases, it can help you, like for turning around a corner faster and with less time exposed to enemy projectiles. Not a huge difference, but if you want to min-max your gameplay, it could help. If you made it this far, you are a legend and a true cousin. Let me know in the comments with a off meta on top in the comments, or I don't know, something.
Delicious.
Special greetings to Nomac and Abdelino17.